Game Doc.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Game Doc. We are playing some more Magi-Nation and we are grinding on our way into the underneath. So, this isn't going to be a terribly interesting story going on here, although there were some interesting sets that came out. There were, I think 4 sets were successfully released in large numbers. You had the core set, which was Duel. You had Awakening, which was the reveal of the core. Then you had, I think it was Dream's End, which gave us both Kaibar's Teeth and the Weave. The set after that gave us the Pereduin and the Bogwrath. And then the final set that came out gave us the Sands of Dresh and Nar. And this was actually a big complaint that people had with the game, and one of the reasons that it suffered from the 2-year curse was because they complained that 13 different regions was just too much, especially since they were difficult to mix. The fact that each time they introduced 2 new regions, it would cause all the other regions to not receive a lot of support, which was it was true. They were actually getting ready to release the very first set that they had that had equal support for all regions, but that didn't happen. And that's why I say that's why I made that criticism about Vanguard having so many regions. They have 27, and that's not even including the ones they made as a joke. But in order to even support that number of regions, they have to put out a release every month. And if they want to do that, I mean, that's fantastic for places that are selling tons and tons and tons of cards, but for anybody doing less than amazing, it's really bad. And like I said, I made that Vanguard video once it became true that I could not find a single store in my entire state, a state that is not only tax-free, but doesn't even include the store that is right across the street from a college, doesn't even carry it anymore. Vanguard has consolidated. I don't know if it can really be considered growing when it cannot be found in an entire state. I even went to Bushiroad's website and went to every single store that said they sold it, and they were like, oh, no, we don't anymore. Nobody was buying it, so... That, and how about that reboot? People say, oh, we complain about Pokemon constantly making you throw away your old cards. How about that reboot making all the old cards worthless by increasing the power cap, increasing the shield, increasing all those things? All your old cards are completely out of date now, so have fun with that. But, you know, I really shouldn't talk about Vanguard. We're here to talk about Magi-Nation, a game that died after 2 years. And then got a really horrible cartoon show made by Deke Entertainment sometime later. But, oh well, here we are, fighting some Volbors, fighting some Burubs. I wish I could make some more material out of this, man. But Magi-Nation was a big part of my childhood, which is a bit of a shame because I never really found a place that had organized play to support it. It was a bit of a lonely activity for me, but it was, you know, at first common enough that you could actually find it at like places like EB Games, Electronics Boutiques, I think is what it was called back in the day, back in the days of, you know, the Magic the Gathering Nemesis set. You could find them right next to the Pokemon and the Magic cards, because the Magi-Nation came out before before this insane the insane glut of card games that just choked the market. Magi-Nation managed to make a bit of a splash before all of that craziness really happened, thanks to having sort of the anime-esque art style, which you might have noticed in the game, as well as its unique abilities. Let's see. Another thing that I sort of enjoyed was with the sets, when they introduced the new regions, they introduced regions that were opposed. You have grasslands and mountains, and then you have the jungle and the swamp, which, at least in the lore of the game, had been known for fighting one another. And then you also have the desert and the ice region opposing each other. Ooh, Ghost Wisp, that's a new one, although it's just a ladybug. It's not really anything creative to it. It is a glow-in-the-dark ladybug, not really anything much special about that. Oh, and Buzzywog. Buzzywog is pretty fun. Buzzywog was what? It was Drillbur before Drillbur was a thing, with the big old long claws. And Ghost Wisp. I don't think Ghost Wisp predated Ladybug. I think Ladybug came out first. Yeah, I think it did. Well, who knows? There were a lot of interesting parallels here, and like you have amazing stuff like Wasparine. Wasparine is just such a clever design. I can't really think of anything more vicious than combining a Wasp and a Wolverine. But hopefully we'll be able to get into some of the really interesting designs here. I might go ahead and try to get forward, because Leaf Chogo and Wasparine are getting a lot of level ups in this neck of the woods. I'll just keep moving forward and try to grind as soon as we can, because I want to talk. I want to sound clear, because pretty soon we're going to get some music that's going to kind of overshadow a lot of what's going on. There's Brub again. Let's see if we can actually get something interesting to show up this time. What I'm looking for, I think, is Korit. Although I would like to... I can't remember what sorts of things actually had interesting abilities. It used the lamp. Did that actually do damage? Oh, resist is down 10. Okay. It lowers resistance to skills. Support abilities in this game aren't really quite as useful, especially since stats get so high. Ah, Porky Slime! I think this thing got its name changed to like Hepaswip or something like that. I can't remember. I think Porky Slime got its name changed. I don't know if that was for like trademarking issues or something like that, because you'll find that a lot of things that had these great sounding names got them changed because, you know, something else had already trademarked it. Yeah, there's Porky Slime. It's a cute little pink slimy hedgehog. There's all sorts of fun stuff in that. I can't remember if Parmalag was in this game. I think Parmalag is in this game. It's a little pill bug, a lot of burrowing insects, a lot of new stuff. I do like this. There's a lot of new stuff in this game. There is still a lot of grinding in this game, and it's actually kind of weird how they do it. It's a bit like Paper Mario. Paper Mario, the experience you need to level up is always 100, but that will change depending on the level of what you're fighting against. So Wasparine is probably getting a lot of levels right now where Leaf Chogo is not, thanks to that discrepancy in experience. But I don't think you get more than like 20 experience for a fight, so it can take a little while. Oh, Tony's at level 12. But yeah, I was supposed to be about level 15 at this point. Almost. Yeah, there's the music. It's like this intense sort of like running through the caves theme. So all right. Man, looking through, I actually have some of my old cards here, and it's kind of interesting going through all of them and seeing how things have changed. Like my cards are all in awful shape because when I got them, I was a stupid kid and I didn't know the importance of proper card storage, like in binders and boxes and stuff like that. So they're all in absolutely horrible condition, especially my oldest cards, which are probably ones that will be worth the most, like my old Aqua and my old like Timber Hyren and stuff like that. It's a bit of a nightmare with all the little white dots on it. This thing would be like a 0 on the grading system. Oh, but you actually kind of notice how the quality of the cards change when they actually release the base set twice. There's the first edition sets, and then there's the second edition set. And the second edition set has far bolder and far more saturated color printing on it. The color printing is a lot darker and a lot more intense. I don't know if it's because they changed printers or just changed how they did things, although they did commit the sin of using papyrus font there. I think those were actually some of my first attempts at like card editing, where making custom Magi-Nation cards and finding the fonts that matched were kind of fun on their own. But anyway, moving on. You can actually kind of see how everything is done. Oh, Wasparine's level 7. Okay, we're getting there. You can actually see how things change. Like, in the original sort of anime-esque designs, everything is a lot of really solid lined shapes, but as you move on, you can tell that the artists are getting more experience, they're finding better people who can work on the art, and it just looks a whole lot nicer as the series goes on. You can tell that that they get a lot better at the digital coloring, and like I said, it was kind of a shame to see it fade away, because it was actually really fun to watch the evolution of the card game and the art, because something they actually did was, and I think Redekai cribbed a lot of notes from this game. They didn't take quite the same heed as they did to how Magi-Nation was designed. Oh, Weebat, that's a new one. That's a Weebo, that's a bat. It's a mushroom with wings. You'll see as soon as I defeat this Porky Slime here. But they actually had an ongoing story in the card game, which was really interesting, because what happened was you would get new versions of characters who would have been altered by their experiences. Maybe they've gained new powers or changed how they work, or they might even become dual attribute Magi. Dual attribute was a thing, although Magi-Nation did dual attribute a bit weird. The idea was that you could get the same monster, but the printing could be for either region. They didn't do things like what Duel Masters did, or what Magic the Gathering does, where they have like the striped cards, like the special color for cards that are mixed. You could instead get either border for each character that was double attribute, and they did eventually start coming out with double attribute Magi, and that is when multi-attribute decks truly became viable. I mean, there were some interesting uses here, but the thing that really ruined the game, one of the things that ruined the game, was they introduced the core region. I think I talked about it before. Because of how the game worked, they pretty much everybody was making mono-type decks, and here comes Core, whose entire gimmick is they cannot use cards from other regions, but all of their cards are really, really strong, and that completely broke the game. They actually had to make a separate tournament for Core decks, and that was a huge pain in the butt. Man, I'm just trying to think about some of the experiences I had with card games growing up, because, you know, I played Pokemon pretty much when it came out back in elementary school. I was in 6th grade when that card game came out. I got the starter deck. We didn't really understand how it worked. We thought you fully discarded all the energy cards whenever you launched an attack, so it would take forever for us to like get a game going. We eventually figured out how it worked, but it took a while. Pokemon was actually, for the longest time, actually it still is, a bit of a bonding experience for my family, and that's actually one of the fun things about Pokemon Go, is we can play it, we can show off what we got in our neck of the woods, because, you know, we all live in different places now, the people in my family. The Pokemon trading card game was part of it. I think I still have that old Machamp, that old first edition Machamp that absolutely everybody had, that came with the starter that you could split in half. I used to have that old Charizard, but I don't really anymore. I still have my original Zapdos. I've still got an old Chansey. Only a few of them are in good condition because, like I said, I was a stupid kid who didn't know how to store cards correctly. Quite an experience. But then Magic the Gathering was a thing for a while. I've been playing Magic the Gathering since 4th edition. That's what a lot of my old collection was. I had no idea how to build a deck. I absolutely sucked at it. Like I said, the only time I really managed to get competitive Magic the Gathering was back when fairies were around, the blue-black fairy deck. That was a fun time because I was able to combine it together with a number of things to make just a truly devastating deck that allowed me to basically take control of my... there were a couple of times where I was like, your strategy is now my strategy. What's that? You tap an elf and you gain life for each elf in play? Hey, that's my card now. Oh, that was a fun time. Oh, there's Weebat. It has one eye too. I wonder where they got the idea for a one-eyed bat, or I don't know if anybody really got the idea for a one-eyed bat. I know that the modern day Keese that they have in Legend of Zelda are one-eyed bats, but I think one-eyed bats have been a common thing for a pretty long time. But one other thing I said back when Toys R Us, rest in peace, was around, one of the things that helped define my childhood was the Pokemon Trading Card Game League. Basically, we took over their break room for a couple of hours every weekend, and I had the most fun there. I was basically there from the gym leader through the Neo, the Pokemon Neo, the Gold and Silver cards that came out. That's about how long it lasted. I think it eventually ended, and that's why I stopped going, but it was it was such a great experience. It was yet another thing that Toys R Us got started. Toys R Us did so much. They were willing to host like the card game leagues and stuff like that, and that just helped the industry so much until things like the card game shops were really able to get that going and get all of the fun of trading card games. It was a shame that I was never able to find a lot of people who would play Magi-Nation. I think most of the play I did was actually I think the program was called Apprentice, and wow, how long have I let this episode go on for? I think we're going to talk about Apprentice next time on Game Doc.